People always ask how I balance my family life with 400 shows a year. I'm just doing what I love with the people I love. It's my magic life. All right, in this week's episode, we figured we'd talk about my Fool Us win when I got to go to Las Vegas, Nevada, and perform for Penn and Teller. So everybody has tons of questions for me since I've been on television 3 times now. They aired it once. It re-aired that following Sunday, and then re-aired again like a month and a half later. So people have the same questions for us. And I don't mind. If you have more questions, email me, call me, talk to me. I'll tell you all about it.
He's happy to talk about the Penn and Teller experience anytime you want to ask him.
But I'm going to put it on record here, so maybe somebody will get the full story. Last year, 2019, I guess at the end of the summer, I was working at a restaurant called Wild Wing Cafe, which was like a sports bar restaurant. And Natalie and Lana would go there with me every single week. And that was a constant day and a place that they knew where they were going to be doing homeschool. Mm-hmm. So I had a 3-hour shift, and they would sit there and do homeschool during my shift. And then afterwards, I would sit down with them and we'd have a family dinner and then ride home together. Well, first thing I do when I sat down, I already know I'm going to eat. So I picked up my phone and checked my email. And I got a message from Sean Farquhar, who had fooled Penn and Teller, I think, multiple times.
Yeah.
I think twice.
Yeah, I think twice too.
I think twice. And he said, hey guys, just want to let you know that Penn and Teller are having auditions. Or no, the production company is wanting submissions. Here's their email address. And just some reason, it just hit me weird that night. And I was like, whoa. Well, that couldn't have made it any easier. I have their email address right here. Now the only thing stopping me from sending them my tape is me. So yeah. I told Natalie, I don't know, it just lightning in a bottle, goosebumps, something. I had a feeling that night. I need to send them something. And I'd never thought about being on the show before. What am I going to do to fool Penn and Teller? They're Penn and Teller. What am I going to do?
I think you even had the idea of what trick you wanted to do too that night.
Well, I thought, what am I going to do? It's got to be something original. It's got to be something they don't know. Well, I changed stuff up, but that doesn't make it an original routine. That doesn't make it an original trick. The only trick that I've really created is flip.
Yeah.
So I went home the next day and sent them an email. And I found it through all of these videos files that I have on my computer. I found a video, and I can't tell you what theater it was at, but we had set up a camera in the back of the room and shot over the audience, so you can see the audience raising their hands in silhouette. And it was a good video, so I sent it to them, and it was like 3 days later. I got a response that night, said, hey, we got your submission, we're looking at it. And then like 3 days later, they were like, we like it. Now how'd you do it?
Yeah. And you looked at, I remember when you got it, you looked at me, you said, why do I have to tell him how I did it? That's like against everything magic. What? So.
Well, they're supposed to figure it out. If I tell them the secret, they've already figured it out. That's right. Not cool. And then they were like, no, you have to tell us because, we're the backstage crew. We have to know, we're the production company. We have to make sure you're not using stooges from the audience, set up people from the audience. We have to make sure there's a couple other things that they don't allow in the show.
Yeah, it's kind of like they're the people that make sure they keep you honest because they know how you did it. So if Penn and Teller say you did it this way and you say no, they'll talk in Allison's ear and she can be like, the judges are saying, that is how you did it. So they're kind of keeping people honest, one, and also making sure you're playing by the rules and everything else, because you can't have somebody set up in the audience. You can't have a stooge. So the person that won that night really did win. It wasn't set up ahead of time or anything like that. So, because that wouldn't be allowed.
And some magic tricks do have various ways of doing it. I can make a card reappear in someone's shoe 3 or 4 different ways. So they have to make sure this is how you're doing it and this is the way it's going. Anyway, so we got the email from them. We told them everything. I was like, blah. I just told them everything.
Yeah.
And they said they love it. They're going to look at it and review it, and they'll get back to me.
Right.
Well, the next thing I heard, they were like, hey, are you available in March, if case? Because we like you. We want you for next season. Are you available?
Yeah, they kind of gave us a range of dates. They were like, we think we're going to be filming this time, and we think we want you on this season. So would you be available? And so we were just completely honest. I mean, the whole time. We were like, as of right now, we have these dates. But here's our thing. We book shows every day. So unless you tell us definitely, because if you say, well, we think we want you this season, and we keep all that time open, and then you say, you know what, never mind, we're going to pass for this season, maybe next season, and then we've passed up all these shows, we can't do that. And they were like, no, I understand, but for now, what do you have available? And then later on down the road, it got to be, definite, obviously.
But they were so cool. They worked with us every step of the way.
Yeah.
They really made it easy.
And I think that was in December at some time, and we got real excited because they were like, we like it, we're pretty sure we want you to come out, and we'll have definite dates in the beginning of the year and definite answers after the holidays. So we were very excited. So we thought that was really cool.
So in January, was it a FedEx delivery dropped off?
No, I think it was just emailed to us.
Was it?
Yeah.
It was a 12-page contract. I just remember it was 12 pages. And I remember us in the kitchen around the island, and Natalie was reading me all this legal jargon, bit by bit, step by step. They own your likeness in perpetuity for this show, and the judge's decision is final. Do you agree with that? Is that fair? If you talk about whether you won or lost to anyone, it's a $250,000 fine per occurrence.
You're not even allowed to say you're on the show.
Until
they tell you, hey, your episode is airing this night. You can start promoting it. So, yeah, it was...
When we went to Vegas, we didn't even put it on Facebook or Instagram or anything that we were in Vegas. And we could have took some good shots and put some cool stuff up on their social media, but people would have asked questions and we couldn't answer them.
No, we told my parents we were going to Vegas, just, that way somebody knew we were flying somewhere, so if the plane went down, they know what happened to us. But that was pretty much it. You have emergency contact, that's it. And yeah, that was it. Nobody knew we were going to be on the show. Nobody knew the outcome because we didn't want to get in trouble. And not only would they want the fine, they would also just take your clip and throw it out. You wouldn't be on the show anymore. So now you've told all these people that you're going to be on the show, and you're not anymore because they found out. So,
and I might have the trophy, but it does me no good if nobody ever saw that act. That trophy is worthless. It only makes sense when you put the two together.
Yeah, I don't know. They might have made you give it back.
They may have taken the trophy back.
I don't know. But we didn't need to find that out, though. And we didn't want to find that out, so we kept our mouths shut.
Anyway, the next, after we signed that 12-page contract, the next thing we got was an email from the segment producer. That 45-second intro before my clip. Oh, by the way, if you haven't seen this clip, now's a good time to turn the podcast off. Go over to YouTube, search Wes Iseli Fool Us, and watch that 8-minute video of me fooling Penn and Teller. Spoiler alert, I fooled them. Anyway, the next email I got was from the segment producer for that 45-second thing, that little intro, and they wanted pictures, videos of me performing. I sent them Instagram videos. They even interviewed me to get to know me a little bit, to try to figure out an angle for my segment. And the next thing after that was emails from the producers of the show asking me what kind of table that I would want. And they sent an email with 10 pages of options of furniture to use in my set. I printed it all out. I thought that was so awesome. Yeah. All these Penn and Teller tables and chairs. They also would rent furniture from a television studio warehouse that rented furniture for all these sitcoms and television shows. It was pretty cool.
If they didn't have what you needed.
But I didn't need much.
No.
I actually told them I didn't need anything.
Right.
But they decided the night of the show that I needed a little table to put the prize on.
Yeah.
Anyway, another team got with Natalie to book the flights and set up airport pickups and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
so we had to figure out finalize dates that we would be there and scheduling everything with, because obviously other people are coming to film too, so trying to coordinate everybody. Which dates do you have available? Which by the time they were asking in their time frame, we had like 2, because they wanted you to be available for 3 full days, and we had 1 3-day stretch and 1 4-day stretch, and so they ended up taking the 4-day stretch. And since all 3 of us were coming, if it's just the performer coming, apparently they booked the flight for you. But since it was the 3 of us going together, they said, all right, well, how about you book your own flights? Send us the schedule. We need to approve it before you actually book it. And then we'll reimburse you for that when you get here in Vegas. And so that's what we ended up having to do. So I just had to, and they wanted you there at a certain time. So come in the night before, and then your first day starts the next morning. So I had to look up flights and everything else and email them that and itinerary, and they're like, oh, that works. That's great. We approve. The price is fine. We approve that as well. Obviously, we couldn't fly first class and take advantage. So they wanted to prove all of what you were spending. And then they were like, okay, that looks good. So go ahead and book that. And what we did, since we were scheduling our own, for that last day when we were coming home, we scheduled it for later in the day so that we'd have an extra day to be able to have fun with Lana in Vegas. So, and I asked them if is that okay to do? They're like, oh, that's totally fine. That costs us nothing. So it's not like it was an extra cost to go late. So, yeah.
But they were a well-oiled machine.
They
Everything,
really were.
every little department didn't talk to each other, but they all had their own little things to do, and they got it done. It was pretty cool. They asked me for a script of my trick, and I really don't write down scripts of my show. I do 400 shows a year. You say it enough times, you tweak it over the years. Sometimes things come in and out of the show, but it's still scripted because I do it so often and so many times.
Yeah.
To write it down didn't sound right, didn't look right. And they immediately wrote back and said, hey, we made a bunch of changes. I think it's better. They tried to put jokes in it, and they tried to do this and that and the other thing. And when I got there in Vegas, and we had the informal rehearsal, I told them, I said, I never do it this way, but this is what you guys asked, so I'm going to do it this. Well, just do it the way you do it. Who made these changes to his script? Who did it? And there's like 15 people in the room, and nobody would fess up, and I couldn't remember because the email was at home.
Yeah.
But they were like, that's terrible. No, his trick's great the way it is. Leave it alone.
Go back to normal. Do what you normally do.
But
because I think they could tell it flowed better because that was what you were used to. That's what.
But
you
also
were doing.
they were trying to make it jokey, and each time I flipped the coin to have some kind of funny little quirk or something to say. And
what you did was you said, okay, this is what you guys said I should do, and this is what I normally do. I'm more comfortable doing what I normally do. So, and they were like, no, keep it the normal way. We like that better. Which was nice because, I mean, that makes things flow easier too. And when you're nervous.
And with the lights on and, it's not the audience, it's not the lights, it's not the cameras. I could care less about any of that. I do all that all the time. It was in front of Penn and Teller.
Yeah.
That's really what it was.
Yeah.
That's the only person I cared about was Penn and Teller. But what we liked about the thing was we were able to make it a little mini vacation as well. And we got to show Lana Vegas.
Right.
We showed her YouTube videos, the Bellagio, but that doesn't do it justice. So we got there on day one was the informal rehearsal, and I filmed that little introduction set.
Yes, that was first. The filming was first. That was in the morning. Bright and early for us.
And my segment producer guy was, his name was David. And man, he was awesome. I was the first person he ever worked with on Fool Us. And
Really?
he came in this season, and I was the first person he filmed with.
I didn't know you were the first person. I knew it was just...
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Huh.
And,
Cool. Well,
man...
He did a really good job.
He did a fantastic job. After my segment aired on TV, I emailed him and thanked him profusely. Because, man, when there's another guy helping you do that little segment, they have different people doing different things. And they have one guy that only does green screen. And he could have made me look like a clown. He could have made me...
They could edit it however they wanted to. We have no
They had
control
full
over how
control.
Yeah, that 45-second introduction video, we really had no control. Now, if it was something that he really didn't want to do, he could have said, "I really don't want to do that." But
they
beyond that, once they have that footage, they could do whatever they wanted with it. And he went with so many scenarios too. He had all sorts of angles that he had to choose from, which is understandable because maybe something filmed better than something else. So, but
we filmed for 3.5 hours that morning.
Right, for 45 seconds of footage.
For 45 seconds of footage. They even had fake luggage for Lana and Natalie and myself to carry around, getting on and off of elevators and walking through the lobby of different hotels to say that we do 400 shows and we're on the road together all the time. That was what it was.
Yeah.
And it was funny because one of the big wigs at the hotel, were we at Planet Hollywood?
Yes.
Was actually there to monitor because they were filming a television show in his hotel. He had to be there, and he was the one that was holding the elevator for us. And we walked in the elevator, and he was going to close the door and then reopen it. But when he closed the door, it called us to another floor, like 20 floors up. Yeah. So we had to pick up people and drop them off, and we're waiting. And the whole camera crew's watching the elevator waiting for it to open. That was really funny, but they didn't use any of that. None of that footage.
No.
And... when they had Natalie and Lana in the audience of the show, we weren't sure they were going to be in that either. We didn't know any of that because they filmed so much.
Yeah.
They didn't have to put any of that in, but it worked out great.
Yes, and I didn't. Yeah, they rode the little camera thing over to the audience, to where we were in the audience during the filming, and I just I saw it, but I did not point it out to Lana. I didn't want her to feel self-conscious. I wanted her to really, those big smiles and that big clapping and that excitement, that was real for both of us. But I knew if she knew there was a camera right in front of her face, she might be a little more, I don't know, pull back a little bit, So I just kept my mouth shut and she didn't notice. It was one of those things that the guy sat on and it just kind of rode over top of the audience. It was kind of cool. But we had no idea if they were going to use that or not. I was thinking probably not. So, I wouldn't get my hopes up of seeing Lana on TV. But then they used it.
We were
that was
so
awesome.
happy. When I first saw Lana on TV and Natalie and Lana hugging each other, I mean, it was so overwhelming joy. And I would watch that video over and over. And to see my wife and daughter truly, honestly, blissfully happy for me and congratulating me and hugging each other because it's a family victory. We're in this together. Wes Iseli's Magic Life blog, but we're in this together. This is a family thing. It's just a trick that I chose, that I created.
Didn't include the family.
But I got you guys on television. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But so after we did that 45-second montage that took 3.5 hours, we filmed a bank segment. We filmed Team Fox segments where I did magic tricks in the bank vault in the lobby of the bank. We did it in the Team Fox stuff. I did magic tricks in Team Fox clothing. We changed outfits several times and did several locations. But boy,
green screen thing.
Yeah, we did so much. And 45 seconds.
Yep. But he did good.
The guy was an awesome editor.
I couldn't be happier with that intro. That was awesome.
And then we went to that informal rehearsal later on that afternoon. And the hard part with that was I was in a room with 15 people, the production company people, the director of the television show, and lawyers were in the room, and then a whole bunch of people I have no idea still who they are, PAs, different people. And then they're like, all right, Wes, do your trick. Well, my trick involves the entire audience. And really, they didn't want to stand up and play the game. They really didn't.
Some of them were more, there was a couple that were more enthusiastic. The people that liked the new Magic. I think we're more enthusiastic than, say, the others that were just.
So, I mean, it's like, all right, well, I halfway went through it. It was just, they even had a lady pretending to be Allison there, and, all right, Wes, do your trick. All right, let's stand up and play the game, guys. So, for me, in my head, later on, when Penn challenges me, and I say, well, stand up and play the game, I'd been through that 3 other times. I'd been through it in the informal rehearsal. During the dress rehearsal the night of the show, they have a guy, two guys, or maybe a guy and a girl, I can't remember, but they have people sitting in Penn and Teller's seat to pretend they're Penn and Teller, and then they had like 4 PAs in the audience, and I'm supposed to do the trick with 6 people there, and the people that were pretending to be Penn and Teller didn't want to stand up and play the game, and the people that were the PAs didn't really want to stand up. They were just, it was like their break time. They're just supposed to watch the acts or something. I don't know. And I'm like, come on, guys, I need you to play. Stand up and play. So when he challenged me later on, well, then stand up and play the game, Penn. Come on, you'll do it. Let's go. So that's where that came from. And
he was a good sport.
Penn was awesome. Golly, Penn was awesome. That was just rehearsal day, though. We keep going back and forth on the timeline here.
Yeah.
That was just day 1. The introduction,
Informal.
that 45-second montage took 3.5 hours, the informal rehearsal.
Yeah.
And then day 2 was a free day for us.
Yeah.
So
they gave us a day off between. So, which was cool because...
And not all performers get that.
No. Usually it's, what we were told was you're probably going to get there, you're going to do the filming of the intro and the informal, and then the next day you're going to record your video, and then you're going to go home the same day that you film your show segment. If not that same day, then the next morning, and you'll have no free time. But we had a free day, so that was nice. It was kind of nice to be able to go and relax and show Lana some stuff. Because Wes and I went back in like 2006, and we did the whole tourist thing then.
Looked at hotels is all we did.
You go to Vegas to go look at hotels. But yeah, so we decided to take Lana around, and I was like, she will love seeing the Eiffel Tower and the Bellagio fountains. So we got there too early. I can't remember what time the Bellagio fountains start playing. Noon or something?
3:30 maybe? I don't know.
Something. But it was later in the day, but they had a Chinese garden set up because it was around Chinese New Year. And they had that all set up inside the Bellagio, and that was beautiful. And so we went through that, and it was really pretty.
We took 1 million pictures.
It was very fragrant, which thank goodness I didn't get nauseous from it, because I was in the early weeks of pregnancy. I think it was like 7 weeks.
She has an app on her phone, and Lana kept saying, "It's the size of a blueberry, Mom. It's the size of a blueberry."
Yeah. Back when we thought it was only one baby, and I think I was around 7 or 8 weeks, something like that. And so I had a little nausea, nothing to complain about, but the garden did not set it off, thank goodness, because it was beautiful. It was a great place to take pictures and see everything. And then we went across the street and took her up the Eiffel Tower, and she was a little nervous about being up that high, but she did good. I think she got over that pretty quick. She had a good time.
And then while we were up there sightseeing from on top of the Eiffel Tower and taking pictures, the Bellagio turned on for the first time in the day.
So we watched it from above, and Lana goes, "Mommy, it's not that tall." I said, "You're way above it, Lana. Wait till you get down there." And the funny thing was, from where we were, you couldn't hear the music that it was playing to, but you could hear the fountains go woof, woof.
Like those air cannons.
Yeah, to shoot it off. So I thought that was neat. So we made it back down in time to see the next showing, and we found a pretty good centered spot. And so she liked that. She thought that was neat how the fountains danced to the music. So those you have to do that when you're in Vegas. And you have to go see a magic show when you're in Vegas too, right, Wesley?
Well, and with timeline and everything, when are we going to go? What are we going to see? Who we're going to go see? And Natalie and I love Matt King, and we're like, well, that's an easy yes for Lana.
Yeah.
Lana's going to love that show. And she did.
She did. That was, yes. I remember Matt King being one of my favorites. When we went in 2006, it was Matt King and Rick Thomas. Those are my two favorites that we saw. And Rick Thomas isn't in Vegas anymore. But Matt King does afternoon shows. And he has some humor that is adultish, but it is stuff that goes over kids' heads. It's nothing that she would understand. And it's so fast. And she didn't even look at me and ask, what did that mean? Because it's just, he goes through it so fast and it's so natural. So it was perfectly fine for kids to go there. And the favorite part was that Lana got to help. She got to help in the magic show, which was awesome.
So he does a trick on stage where he shaves a carrot and puts it in his mouth and turns the carrot into a real fish. He shaves the carrot to look like a fish, puts it in his mouth and turns it into a real fish and spits it in a glass of water, a wine glass of water. Mm-hmm. Lana was told to hold the glass of water. I think she missed the entire trick of him turning the carrot into a real fish in his mouth and then spitting it.
Not spilling.
Because it was a big wine glass. It wasn't a small, pretty wine glass. It was a big one. Mm-hmm. And she was afraid to spill the water. She was doing her job, and she was doing what he was told to hold at water. And I think she missed it all. So I showed her later on video, and she said, yeah, Dad, I saw it. I was just paying attention. I didn't want to spill because I'm not sure it was water. I think it was vodka. That's what she said.
Did she really?
Yeah.
I missed that. That's funny.
But I said, no, honey, it's water. The fish wouldn't do good in vodka.
No.
But
poor drunk fish.
But he used her for that, and he used her for shadow tent illusion. If you know his show, Lana got to help with that, and it was fantastic because it's supposed to be a scare moment for the kid on stage, but he's so endearing and becomes your friend so quick that it was like, boo, here's a hug. Go back to your seat. You're awesome. And
Lana got a book, a magic book for
being
helping.
A helper.
Yep. So guess who had to get his own magic book after the show?
She's not going to share with me. I'm not going to share with her. I had to buy my own copy.
I think she would have shared with you, but she wanted to keep it in her room.
I wanted it on my bookshelf and my magic stuff.
See. So
yeah, we bought way too much stuff from his place. We bought T-shirts. We bought one magic book. She had another magic book, and I got her a big Matt King kit. Which, yes, I have magic kits, but Matt King's kit is different, and it's cute, and it's unique and different. It's got Matt King's face on the magic props, and it's got monkeys and bananas and magic tricks that he has in his. And I regretted it once I got it to my hotel room and realized I had to go on my luggage and go back in the plane. I was just so overwhelmed wanting to throw money at Mac because I love Mac.
You had to carry it around all day.
Yeah,
after that too.
And I said, man, he could have just mailed that to me. I should have talked to him about shipping it. But anyway, Matt King was awesome. That day was fun.
Yeah, it was.
Day 3 was show day.
Yes.
So we got up, we had breakfast. And then it was like, well, I don't want to leave the hotel. I don't want to go out and looking. I don't have to be back till 4:30, 5 o'clock. I don't know what to do. But
we didn't want to leave because what if on the way back some wreck happened and you're stuck in traffic and you're late? That ruins the whole reason that you came for the trip. So we didn't want something to happen where for some reason we got back late for the taping and then you're just not on the show. So we stayed in the hotel.
And I wanted to do something to take my mind off of it. I didn't want to just sit in the room all day and just think about, hey, in 3 hours I'll be on Penn and Teller. In 2 hours I'll be on Penn and Teller.
Right. So we looked around at some of the shops.
And the Rio has a lot of shopping in there. I mean, they have a ton of stores.
They do. But we looked at some of their shops, and then you can't go gambling because we have an 8-year-old with us. We're not,
Unless we want to separate.
Yeah, unless we didn't want to separate. And really, we didn't need to gamble while we were there. We spent enough money shopping.
Well, we're not big gamblers anyway.
No, not really.
We'll throw $20 in the slot machine. That'd be about it. We'll be done.
Yeah, pretty much. So.
But we ended up in the hotel room still a few hours before my performance.
Yep.
And Natalie was reading her Nook, and Lana was watching television.
We were totally relaxed. We had nothing to worry about it because me and Lana, we were confident for Wes. We knew he was going to do fine. I was like 90% sure he was going to fool Penn and Teller with it. So I wasn't worried.
You say that now.
No,
I wasn't 90% sure.
I told you that while we were there.
Well,
I told you that before you filmed your segment. I was like, I'm pretty sure you're going to fool him.
like I said, I wasn't worried about the television. I wasn't worried about the lights. I wasn't worried about the audience. Just sitting in front of Penn and Teller. Penn and Teller looking at me. And I closed my eyes and imagined them looking at me. And my heart would just start racing. And I'm like, if I get nervous, my cheeks get really rosy. Like, it's noticeable. I didn't want to be shaking on stage. I wouldn't be able to catch the coin. So I put earbuds in my ears, turned my phone on, and I just started jogging in place. I jogged hard. I wanted to try to run down my adrenaline. I wanted to be wore out and exhausted when I went on that stage that night because I knew my adrenaline was going to pump me back up again.
You needed energy.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to be able to deplete everything.
You didn't jog for the whole 2 hours, but you jogged for a little bit, sat down for a little bit.
I was trying to jog in place to wear myself out. And then you go downstairs to be on set.
You had your dress rehearsal.
Yeah. Well, we already talked about that.
You had to get there early for dress rehearsal.
Yeah, and so nobody wanted to play along.
And we had to part ways because they didn't. We asked, Lana and I went down there with him for the dress rehearsal. And we asked if we were allowed to. We are not sure. Let me ask. So they asked for us, but they said no. They just wanted Wes back there, so we would have to come back down. So we came back down. I think it was like an hour later, because they told us to get there and get in line we were in the VIP since we were family. So we went back up to the room for an hour while Wes was downstairs. And then he was just stuck he did his dress rehearsal and then I went
downstairs to the dungeon, man. It was just a warehouse room with a couple couches in an L shape. And I think I sat there for 4.5 hours, something like that.
Yeah, well, the filming started at like 8.
And I had to get there for my rehearsal at what time? 4:30, 5?
I think you got down there at 5:30, and Lana and I got back down there at 6:30. I think maybe they might have started filming at 7:30, 8. I can't remember. 7:30, 8 o'clock is when they started filming. But there were 5 acts that performed, and you were number 4. So you were second to last to film that night.
And another thing you don't know, the people that I was downstairs in the holding cell with, the other magicians, could be on 5 different episodes.
Right.
They mix things up, so it's not a whole episode of card tricks. It's not a whole episode of coin tricks or big illusions. They mix things up.
Yeah.
So in my episode that I was on, it was nobody that I was downstairs. Nobody that Natalie saw that night when she was in the VIP watching those 5 acts.
No.
It was just me that she's seen.
Yeah. Everybody else is on a different episode, so.
But sitting downstairs in that holding area, I was texting Natalie a little bit, and then she was like, "Oh, show's starting. I can't talk anymore."
Yeah.
And then I'm just sitting there just twiddling my thumbs, and I'm talking to the other magicians and things, but man, that was boring. That was awful. Boring. And then I went out there. I had to go get my hair and makeup done with, I got my hair and makeup done with Allison. We were back to back in the makeup chairs, and she was talking about people in the hotel, and I think she brought her kids with her, and she said the people were yelling and partying, and they're like, "Well, welcome to Vegas."
Yeah.
And anyway, so I had my hair and makeup done with Allison. Then I went back just to the holding cell. Then they told me it was my turn. I went upstairs, and they gave me my microphone pack and everything, and I just sat there waiting behind the big screen. When they finally let me go out onto the stage, I can't explain it to you. It was just a look that Penn and Teller both gave me. And they were like, you got this. We're rooting for you. You're going to do great. They gave me thumbs up. They gave me twinkles in their eye. I don't know what they did.
But it made you feel comfortable.
Oh my gosh, I felt comfortable. I felt like it was... number one, I felt like I've known Penn and Teller my whole life. I don't ever remember not watching Penn and Teller on television. They had... the SNL stuff when back in the late 80s, I guess. Penn and Teller got fooled. I watched that VHS tape my dad had in the video store over and over and over. I've known Penn and Teller my whole life. So when they gave me that little twinkle, that little thumbs up, I was like, all right, this is all right. And then the performance. And never in a million years would I have thought that Penn would have challenged me like that. Some people have asked me, was that set up? Did we talk about that ahead of time? That was all spontaneous. That was all Penn challenging me.
Yeah.
And, man, that made the segment. Yeah.
Yeah, that really did. I liked that little standoff at the end.
People said it looked like a Western.
Yeah, it was fun. That made it a lot of fun. And I was very excited because when he started talking, he has a little tell.
He
starts slapping his notebook against his hand. And if he does it several times, which they edited out, I think he only did it once. I'd have to watch it again. But I think he only slapped it against his hand once on what they aired. They edited a lot of that out. But in past episodes I've watched, when he starts slapping his book against his hand multiple times, it's like, oh, that performer got him. They fooled him. And he started doing that, and I was like, oh, Wes God, I told him. I was so excited. And then he did the standoff thing, and I was like, okay, Wes, switch it. So.
Go, Wes.
Yeah, because now you had to do the opposite way. You know, you had to make him lose instead of win. So I'm like, flip it in your head, hon. Flip it in your head. You can do it. And he did it. And that was just so exciting.
When I said, you're going to lose, Penn, it wasn't me being cocky, which a lot of people think. I was being like, you're going down, Penn.
Yeah.
And no, it was,
all
right, you're setting up the game, Penn. You want to lose?
Right.
Okay, you're going to lose, Penn.
You're just reaffirming. That's what you want, right? That's what we're playing here.
So when Natalie says switch it, I'm not switching coins or anything.
No, that's not what I meant.
Some people on here don't know how the trick's done.
That's not what I meant. I meant flip the way that you're doing your game in your mind. Mentally switch the outcome. Because for the whole game that you played with the full audience, it is getting somebody to win. It's for a winner, not a loser. Penn wanted to lose. So now you have to switch not the coin, but your mentality of what you're thinking. You're getting somebody to lose instead of winning. So that's what I meant. I didn't switch the coin. But no, don't think that.
But after I won and Penn and Teller came up there and hugged me, they both told me, fantastic, great job, fantastic. They gave me the trophy and I'm walking off stage. Now they tell you to look at the audience and wave. So I'm like, this feels weird, but whatever. And I walk. And then I'm looking at the audience. And the next thing I know, it's like, boom. There's a lady. I couldn't tell you what she looks like at all, but I know she was wearing all black. And she said, wait here, please. And I told her, I said, oh, no, this is when I wake up. And she put her hand on my shoulder. She said, oh, no, honey, you won. She said they just need to make sure there's no retakes of anything that I did. Like, do they need me to flip the coin one more time so they can get a close-up of the coin flipping in the air? Do they need Allison to hold the prediction up higher one more time just to make sure that, the teleprompter can read it?
Yeah.
Just things like that. And as soon as I got past her, she said, okay, you can go. And I didn't have to refilm anything. Mine was fine.
Yeah.
So as soon as I got past her, I get a big paw on my shoulder and to turn me around, and it's Penn. And he said, no, man, hey, look, I wasn't just talking out my butt out there. That was really fantastic. Really great job. Wow. I have been working on something like that for 15 years. Wow, this is 10 years, whatever he said. Wow, this was really great. And Teller's like, no, I really liked it too. He's like, shut up, Teller. Listen.
Did he really say shut up?
Yeah. And he said, I really liked it. Wes, you did a great job. Fantastic. Just fantastic, buddy. And that's it. And then they turn around and they left.
Well, they had another act to go judge, but yeah.
But the only thing I remember saying to him was like, if you liked it, it's yours, Penn. I would love for you to do my trick. It's yours if you want it.
Yeah.
And that's where we left it. And they turned right around and left. That's all I got. It was like a 15-second exchange, and that was it. But it was awesome. I wish I had that on video. I wish I could take a picture of that. I wish I could have that immortalized.
That would have been cool.
Anyway, then they take my pack off. They have me sign a waiver saying that I'm forfeiting the cash because you win a cash prize in the game, or you can come back to Vegas and perform with Penn and Teller. I'm like, I don't know what the cash is. I don't know how much it is. Natalie read all the paperwork. I didn't even know there was a cash prize. I want to come back with Penn and Teller. And I signed the paperwork. I didn't want money. I wanted to come back, all expense paid trip to see Penn and Teller and perform in the Rio Hotel on their stage. Heck yeah.
Yeah.
So I signed that. And then one of the production guys from the television show said, here, Wes, we used to mail out the trophies, but we're actually giving them to the performers now because people win from all over the world. A lot of people from Spain and Europe and everywhere, and they're getting broken in shipment or getting lost or whatever. So, like, it's just easier if we give it to you now. And they gave it to me. It's in cardboard and bubble wrap and everything. But then, like, this feeling came over me. How am I going to hide it? Oh, gosh.
Because you had not supposed to tell anybody that you won, and they send out all the performers before him. They just leave. They can't see the other acts.
And as soon as you're done with your performance, you're kicked out of the theater. Right. So you're told to go to your room. You're not allowed to watch the other acts.
Well, you're just told to leave the theater. So
some of them went to the coffee shop right across the way there from Penn and Teller Theater.
Right.
And the production guy's daughter, who also works on the show, I handed it to her, and she walked me down the hallway talking. And as I'm walking down the hallway, a couple other magicians, hey, Wes, how'd you do? Well, I did okay. Yeah. And I would just act like I was just talking to her, and I couldn't stop and talk to him. Yeah. I felt like a dirty liar. I felt so awful. Awful. I mean, I'm afraid these guys are going to see my segment and think ill of me, but guys, it's $250,000. I'm not allowed to tell anybody. I was scared.
Yeah.
So anyway, she helped me. She took it. Yeah, she actually took me to my elevator.
Yeah.
And then handed it to me. But I've been downstairs in a holding cell for 4 hours with these guys. They know I didn't have some random rectangle cardboard box about the size of a trophy.
Right.
So
you were the guy that came with just a coin.
Right, and that's what one of the stagehands said, and I felt kind of bad about it. Like, that's kind of rude. But they're like, oh, this is blah, 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 the magician. He's the amazing card guy. And this guy, he's the one that's doing the straitjacket escape. And, oh, yeah, that's the coin dude.
Right. I told you later, though. I said, you know what? It could have just been they weren't sure how to pronounce your name.
Isley.
Yeah.
That might have been what threw them off.
It could have been what threw them off. Maybe they weren't trying to be dismissive. Maybe that's just what it felt like. Maybe they were. Who knows? Maybe they thought, coin, guy with one coin. I mean, what can he do? But who cares? Either way, you fooled them. So it doesn't matter.
And you don't know who was on my segment that night?
Right.
But Natalie watched 5 performers that night, and I was the only one to get a trophy out of all of them.
Yep.
Which was awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm already going to the elevator, and I missed a part. As soon as they kicked me out of the theater, as soon as I took my mic pack off and signed that waiver, they gave me the trophy. I walked down a hallway, and this girl comes running up to me and gives me a hug and says, man, you were fantastic. You were awesome. When you told Penn, you're going to lose, Penn. That was the line of the night. Oh, you're awesome. My favorite act. Oh, by the way, I'm Penn's wife.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, my gosh. So it was awesome. Everything about it was great. I took pictures with her. She was telling me how great I was and how great my standoff with Penn was. And it was just fantastic.
She liked that part a lot.
And I
don't blame her. I like that part a lot too.
And that might be who yelled out during our segment.
Right. Yeah.
When they said, "Give him the trophy already" or something.
And he says, Penn says, "Shut up." It did come from my side of the audience, and Penn's wife was on that side of the audience as well.
But Allison said it could have been you.
Yeah, Allison said, "I think that was his wife," and it wasn't me, but it was somebody on our side of the audience. It could have been her. It could have just been somebody on our side of the audience. I'm not sure who it was. So, but it wasn't, I know it wasn't me. I didn't yell that out. But, I was thinking it.
But after I took pictures with her, I asked, well, since I'm taking pictures of everybody, is Penn's manager here? Because he was at the informal rehearsal. And they were like, yeah. And they called him over. And then he came over and just started congratulating me and saying that, dude, Penn said on stage that he's been working on that for 10 years. He's lying. He's been working on that for 15 years. He's been working on some kind of act with a hot potato. He's been working on tic-tac-toe. He's been working on this. He's been working on that. Rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah.
You have done his trick that he's been looking. It's like the holy grail of magic that he's been working on. You did it. So I took pictures with him, and it was just fantastic. All this overwhelming. And then I took the elevator up to the room.
And had to wait.
And I'm sitting there on the couch in my hotel room. I was afraid to say yay. I was afraid to do anything.
It still seemed like a dream, right?
It still seemed like a dream. I wasn't sure if my room was bugged.
I
I mean, if I
didn't want to call anybody.
I didn't want to call anybody and tell them I won because, oh my gosh, what if my room is bugged? I mean, they know what room I'm staying in, probably, the production company. They bugged my room. You just got caught, buddy. Sorry. Take that trophy back. Oh my gosh, I was paranoid. So I'm just sitting there.
And Lana and I wanted to leave. I wanted to leave after Wes's performance. I was like, I'm ready to go. I want to leave. But I couldn't. We had to stay in the audience and watched. Luckily you were fourth. That was good for me that you were fourth, because then I only had to sit through one more. And I was anxious to get to you. Because I pulled out my phone between acts and I wrote to you. I said, I told you so. I told you so. So that was... I really didn't want to sit through that last act. No offense to the guy that was last. But
you didn't like the act that was last anyway.
I didn't. They kind of ended on a low note, I felt, with that act. But you don't know who that is, and I'm not going to tell you.
Right.
But I was anxious to get back to Wes and just give him a big old hug and kiss and congratulate him. And it was awesome. It was a really good night. I tell you what. It was awesome. And we couldn't eat beforehand because,
I didn't want to eat.
He wasn't in the mood to eat, and we weren't really that hungry, and so we had to go get dinner. And the only thing open yet again
pizza shop
was pizza. But
a $40 8-inch pizza.
Right? Yeah. But so we went and celebrated with a pizza dinner that we took back to our room. Because there's nothing you can do. You can't call anybody and tell them because you're not allowed to. So it's just the three of us really excited. And you don't want to be really excited while you're down there at the pizza place because there were 2 other people that performed on the show that night. So you're just like, la-di-da, we're just here getting pizza. Nope, be calm.
It was awesome.
So, yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
And... I don't know. I could talk about that all day long.
Yeah.
But for this video's sake, day 4, we went to the Shark Reef.
Yes.
At MGM.
Day 4 was the go home day, but we scheduled our flight for late, and it didn't leave till 11:30. So they held our suitcases for us, and we went and we did another touristy day. And so the lady who was the transportation lady that took us from the airport to the hotel, she was like, well, while you're here, since you have a little girl, she would really love the Shark Reef that they have at what hotel?
I think I don't know.
It starts with an M.
No, it's not MGM. I don't know.
One way down the strip. Anyway, so we were like, well, we got to go see that.
But I thought it was just a pool with some sharks in it.
Right. The way it sounded like just a small, a little pool that had some sharks in it, and we were like, okay, that would be neat to see some sharks. She'll like to see. We'll go see some sharks. And we get there.
It's like $35 a person.
And and you have to pay for these tickets, and we're like, for a pool with some sharks in it? Whatever. We already promised Lana we'd take her to see the sharks, so all right. So we went in there. It was really awesome. It was huge. It was so much to go through. It was beautiful. I mean, they did it up. I understood the tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was amazing. And Lana really did. I loved it. All of us really had a good time. And
the place was amazing. Just the decor and the ambiance of the place without any fish at all.
Yeah.
I told her I'd pay $35. I'd pay $35 a person to play putt-putt in that place if it was just a putt-putt course, because it was worth it just for the scenery looking around, not fish in tanks of water, just all the other decorations they had.
Yeah, it was beautiful. And then, the fish and the sharks added to it. But it was a really neat experience. So, you ever go to Vegas and you want to see that, it's the Shark Reef. It's awesome. Mandalay Bay. Told you.
I knew it started with the M.
So that was a lot of fun. And then after that, we were just, again, doing the tourist thing. We went to the Luxor, we went to the MGM, we saw the David Copperfield
statue in front of his theater.
Right,
and stuff.
all he has set up in front of where his show is. And we just walked around, looked at more shops, and Hard Rock Cafe, all that different stuff. We just did the touristy thing till we had to get back in time to be taken to the airport.
And we thought 11:30 flight would be easy, and it's not easy to sleep on a plane.
No.
It was awful. It was brutal.
It was exhausting. And then we had a layover. Where did we have the layover? It was just Chicago?
I'm not sure.
It was one of the big airports. And we got to our gate and we're just falling asleep. So, but anyway, we made it home. We were tired. We slept, took a good nap when we got home.
And we were in the airport and checked my email, and a magician friend said they had just shut down all of the buffets due to COVID as we were leaving Vegas.
Right.
So that was March 4th. March 5th.
So that started, March 5th.
So
that's when all that started.
And then we got home. We had 1 week of shows after that.
Yep.
And then we were unemployed
and that last
for
weekend,
several months.
Yeah, that last weekend we were out. We were, we
in
were
Ohio.
We were in Ohio doing a convention. And in the mornings when we were getting breakfast, we were looking at the TV, just seeing them cancel sports, cancel this, cancel that. We're not doing this anymore. We're,
100,000 people in Ohio have it now.
Right. We're shutting down. We're quarantining. And then, so we went home.
No groups of 50 or more.
Yeah, we went home that Sunday, which was March 15th. And on the 16th, everything was shut. And we were getting emails and phone calls over the weekend of, we're not going to be able to do our show. We're not going to be able to do this show. So we were starting to reschedule things. And some shows haven't rescheduled yet. They're still trying to figure out when to reschedule them for. Others rescheduled and then rescheduled again and then rescheduled again. And now we're starting to do a little bit more, but not much. So
booking one show a week instead of
right.
14, 15, 20.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Wes won, and then it was like the world ended.
It was awful.
Yeah.
But I told people I think COVID was my fault because it kept everybody at home and it kept my mouth shut because I was bursting at the seams. I may have told 50 people if it was COVID. If I was able to do my 183 shows that I had booked for the summer, I may have whispered too many times.
You might have let something slip.
So,
but yeah,
since I was stuck
at home, he was like, "Well, how about because it was quarantine, so we couldn't go out and film for our Magiclife videos." And so he was like, "Well, I can just put the Vegas trip." I'm like, "No, honey, that's gonna make questions. Questions will start coming in about,
don't even put that footage up.
When did you go to Vegas? Why were you in Vegas?" So, even in quarantine, I had to pull him back and tell him no. So, but yeah.
But we were excited to see it. We had no idea if Natalie and Lana were going to be on it at all.
No.
And they were, and it was awesome.
Yeah, it was fun.
We wanted to do a watch party. We ended up, because nobody was letting us book anything, nobody's letting us rent anywhere. We ended up doing it here at the house. It was fantastic.
Yes.
It couldn't have went any better.
Nope.
We tried to do it outside, but it was over 100 degrees that night with 180% humidity.
Yeah.
It was just nasty. And everybody ended up in the living room piled up. And
And they seemed fine with it. Nobody seemed upset with it. And we could only we didn't invite a ton of people anyway, just because we were trying to do right with what the restrictions were at that time.
So we invited 30 people. That was it.
Right, yeah. So.
And, man, that watch party, everybody cheering for me, everybody congratulating me. It was overwhelming. It was sensory overload. It truly was. And, and then everybody took pictures with me and the trophy, and everybody congratulated me. Everybody was real happy. And then everybody left. And then I think I watched the video another 8 times that night. I watched it on DVR down here a couple more times with you, with the family.
Watched it upstairs with
and then I watched
Daddy.
it upstairs, and then my phone was just ringing off the hook. People were calling me. People were texting me. People were emailing me. It was just crazy. My phone was actually hot from all the messages I got. I think I only got like 9 hours sleep the first 3 days.
It was ridiculous. I kept telling you to just turn your phone on silent, get a night of sleep. I think people will understand if you don't respond to them right away at 2 a.m. It'll be okay.
Yeah, but some of these people I hadn't heard from in a while.
Would he listen to me? No.
It's been in COVID. I hadn't seen people.
It doesn't matter. You need to sleep.
Anyway, but upon viewing it over and over, we got to see different nuances.
Yeah.
Like my coin had my name on it.
Yes, the second time we watched it, I pointed it out to him. I said, "Stop, pause, go back." And I said, "Look at the background," because we noticed that it was half dollars back
cool.
there. I said, but look at the writing on the coin. It doesn't say "In God We Trust." It says "In Wes We Trust." I was like, that's pretty cool. I mean, they went, to that small of a detail. It
was awesome.
They were thinking about everything. So, yeah.
And then afterwards, boy, when was it? Like, we filmed in March. So this was the end of July. They had Penn's podcast came out. And that long of a time to think about that trick and everything. And Penn said he wanted it. Penn loved it. Penn wants to do it in his show. And I'm like, what is he going to say about it on the podcast? For an hour-long podcast, he talked about my trick for 15 minutes. I like Wes Iseli. I like everything about him. It was fantastic. Penn's Sunday School podcast talked about me for 15 minutes, an hour-long show. Telling the world.
It was high praise, and you could tell it was sincere, which was awesome.
And I sincerely shed a tear. I cried a little bit. I did. I was overwhelmed with joy.
Excited, yes.
But anyway, that's our Penn and Teller Fool Us wrap up. Guys, I hope you had fun. I hope you enjoyed it. And we'll see you next week. We're running out of time now.
Yeah,
I gotta make this thing.
Yep.
We'll talk to you next week. Bye, guys. See you next week. Check us out online at wesiseli.com and patreon.com/Wes_Iseli for behind-the-scenes videos, blooper videos, never-before-seen footage, discounts on merchandise, magic trick tutorials, and more. That's Wes Iseli, spelled WESISELI.